Hello and welcome to another edition of Good Morning Pattaya, Pattaya Channel's very own breakfast show. I'm your host, Nick Penderell, and joining me once again is my faithful co-host, Mr. Dave D. How are you doing?
Good morning to you, Nick. How are you?
Very good.
I've just got to, because of our guest today, I'm just checking that I am here today.
So you're checking your pulse?
With a doctor on the scene, I've got to check that I'm here.
I can do that for you, but it costs.
Very good.
Okay.
Good morning to you, Dr.
Good
Iain.
morning. Our guest today, Dr. Iain from the Bangkok Hospital, Pattaya.
Yes, good
Welcome
morning.
to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to everyone out there.
Yeah, I hope everyone's feeling healthy, but...
No, that's bad for business.
It's bad for business. If they're not, then you're the man definitely to speak to, because you must be the most famous Farang doctor in all of Pattaya, surely.
Oh, famous is a word that I don't like to apply to myself. Well known.
Well known.
Yes, I probably am the most well known, but I'm not famous.
But how long have you been in Pattaya?
17 years.
17 years. That is a long, long time. And,
Man and boy.
and so where did you come from before you were in Pattaya?
Okay, for the 40 years before that, I was in Brisbane,
Right.
Australia. And before that, I was in Scotland.
Okay.
That's my heritage.
Right.
That's why I am an IAIN as opposed to an IAN.
Right.
IAIN is the Gaelic,
Oh, really?
yes, which is translated as a gift from God. So my mother must have wanted me.
So you're practicing when you're in Brisbane. Were
Yes.
you a GP or did you specialise in any particular
I
area?
specialised in occupational medicine.
Right.
And I was actually a foundation member of the Australian College of Occupational Medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But occupational medicine is not something which is really done in this country.
No.
So consequently, I work as a consultant for the foreign population.
Right.
And I sort of guide them in the right direction.
Right, okay. Because I went to the Bangkok Hospital Pattaya for the first time really not that long ago, and I was just amazed. It's huge, that place. It is enormous. How many beds are in there?
There's 400, but we only use 250. The others are in reserve.
Oh, right, okay.
But no, it has grown enormously. It's now about 22 years since its inception. And about every 5 years, they add another building. So we're
Right.
A, B, C, D. We're now at E.
Right. And are there plans for an F coming up anytime soon?
Undoubtedly there will be, but they don't consult me on these sort of
Okay,
things.
I see. Well, you consulted my health, not building that.
Being here for 17 years, and I mean, this is probably the only way I can put it. I mean, do you have many regulars that you know? I mean, over 17 years, surely you've built up yourself a client base of people that you know and sort of care for and take care of yourself and feel privileged to meet these people.
Oh, yes. All doctors should feel like that. The only problem is, as you say, 17 years is starting to get a long time. Guys that I met who were 70
Yeah, sure.
are now 87 or dead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Despite everything that we do.
Yeah. I mean, and what about the side of it where, you know, you get your Falang person come into the building and are you their point of contact for everybody, or is it?
No.
Okay.
I'm the point of contact for ones who ask for me.
Okay.
Or sometimes the Thai doctors will ask for me, because if they think that the patient isn't really understanding what the doctor is telling him, he gets me to be involved, because being a doctor, I know what he's talking about. But being a Farang, I can talk
In a different way.
to the patients. So that's one way. The other way, of course, is that the patients themselves request me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't have the day-to-day clinical involvement. You know, the clinical responsibility isn't mine, it's the Thai doctors.
Okay.
Right. But do I want the day-to-day responsibility? these days at my age?
I would say not.
No.
But you are, like you say, you are a point of contact for a lot of people,
Yes.
and they do ask for you. And of course, you know, if they're sitting with the doctor or whatever, and he's trying to explain it, maybe if he explains it to you, you know what he's talking about, and being a foreigner, you can explain it in a different way that we understand it. That's a very useful thing.
One of the biggest complaints that patients have all over the world is that they go and see their doctor. He speaks a lot of mumbo-jumbo to them, and they leave and they don't know, one, what's wrong with them, and two, why, and what they're supposed to do about it. And that's with an Australian patient seeing an Australian doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember a sketch when a guy goes in to see a doctor and he talks all these long words and that, and then he says, right at the end, he says, "Are you okay now?" He says, "Yes, but now can I have it in plain English?"
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, like you say, and that's what you do, basically, don't
I
you?
always say the reason that it is a 6-year medical course is the first 5 years is learning to spell the big words.
So do you actually speak Thai, or are you just an expert at translating Thaiglish into clean English?
Yeah, with all due respects to all the Thai people out there, it is a ridiculous language. It is impossible.
Yes.
My years of motor racing have probably hammered out my hearing of different tones, but I cannot get the tones.
Right.
But I do have the answer.
Right.
Absolutely. It's called a 10-year-old daughter who can speak Thai and English and slip seamlessly one to the other. So if there's anything special I need, I say, "Come with Daddy. Tell the man that Daddy wants an XYZ. Yabba, 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 yabba." I get what it was. Thank you, darling.
You do realise that is the easy way out, don't you?
You don't get to my age by taking the difficult way.
Exactly, yeah, and you don't look like me like this. Yeah, great. But I mean, what kind of things, what kind of things are you sort of like, if people come to you for all the information, can you guide them to every department? Is that your area?
Yes, I am.
You don't specialise in one area?
No, it depends upon the patient. Because the patients refer themselves to me, it depends upon their medical condition. So, I mean, if you came complaining of pains here and that it gets worse with eating and things like this, all right, this is fairly simple. Obviously gastrointestinal. And I can talk to the patient about that, then take the patient down to my favourite gastrointestinal specialist.
I mean, how much of it, like, you know, you've just said that as a good example, but I mean, if the person comes into you and starts talking to you, I mean, how many times can you sort of pick up on what is wrong with them? I mean, can you do that?
This is called clinical acumen, and I say with all true modesty, my clinical acumen is good.
Good.
I can very often pick what is wrong with a patient as they walk in the door.
Okay.
But this is something that you get after years of practice. But you should be able to very quickly narrow it down to, okay, this is the provisional diagnoses, and then I can explain that to go from there, we'll have to do an MRI or an X-ray or whatever, so that we can then narrow this right down so we can come up with a definitive diagnosis.
I remember in the UK I was speaking to a doctor once, and I said to him, and I know that you talk about this a lot, health checks, and I said to a doctor once in England, how important are health checks? Well, in England we take our car for an MOT every 12 months. He says, don't you? I says, yes. He says, you've just answered the question of health checks. And they are very important, aren't they?
Absolutely. As you say, I do promote health checks. The reason being that if you can catch something early, it's so much better rather than letting it go on and becomes worse and things like this.
Yeah.
I mean, cancer is the big bugbear, right? It's the big problem that people worry about. And very often, we can catch cancer at a very early stage, treat it, and it's finished, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, my dear old mum was 50 when she discovered that she had cancer of the womb. And this was done through a health check. Well, they operated, and she died at 94.
Right.
So I think we can say the operation was a success.
yeah.
I was going to say, I think that sort of sums up health check, doesn't it? Even saying that. But, I mean, it's very important, isn't it? I mean, to see a doctor, Nick. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
you know, everybody. Oh, I've got to go see the doctor, but it is important.
So people of our age, so how often should we be going for a health check? Once a year, more often, less often?
After the age of 40, I recommend annually.
Right.
Up to the age of 40, every couple of years, unless we turn up something.
Right, yeah.
Now, let's imagine you tell me that your brother's got diabetes, your sister's got diabetes, and your mum's got diabetes. For you not to know what your blood sugar is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a dereliction of duty to yourself.
Yes, if then, but for normal, healthy people, once a year should
Yes,
be enough.
yeah.
So how much would it cost for a normal health check, annual health check?
Well, for a basic health check, you're probably looking at 3,000 to 4,000 baht. If it's more detailed, because you've got an interesting history or something like this, then it can go up.
Sure,
you know.
sure, but a standard, someone who hasn't got anything wrong with them, that's the sort of price that they'll
Yes,
pay.
yeah.
So
I mean, that's pretty-
that's cheap for peace of mind that comes
How
with
much,
it.
how
Not
much is your
wrong.
life worth?
Exactly,
You know,
a
at the
lot
end of the day.
worth than that. So, are you at the what are your sort of work hours at the hospital? Do you by appointment only, or
Well, to get me, you're best to sort of ring up the hospital or send an email or whatever and say you want to sort of see me. I'm there 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, in the mornings.
right mornings?
There are 3 afternoons that I'll do, but they can move around,
Right.
and a lot depends upon whether or not I'm doing something like your TV program.
Sorry if we've inconvenienced any patients this morning by dragging you out to the studio.
Not at all. I've told them to stay alive till I get back.
Because I know that although this is your profession, you have quite an interesting hobby, don't you?
It's not a hobby.
It's
an
a way of life.
all-consuming passion.
I just want to know how Dr. Iain mixes health and racing. I just want to see how he sort of combines the two.
This idea that race drivers are all terribly macho and sort of devil-may-care. We're not. There's old drivers and bold drivers, but there's no old, bold drivers.
And you are?
I'm definitely an old driver. I started racing in 1965.
Wow.
This is before many people were born. Right. And I'm still racing today. And I will continue to race until I'm no longer competitive. And this is my big worry. Is this the year that I can't do it?
Right.
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
So for those who don't know about your involvement in motor racing, what is it that you race?
Okay, I race a 1973 Mark I Ford Escort.
Right.
Now, I raced Mark I Ford Escorts when they were new in Australia, and I'm still racing the damn things. but I run in what's called the retro class, which is pre-1985. So we've got all the E30 BMWs and things like this, and some of the Corollas, and it's a great group to be in.
And how often do you race?
Generally about once a month, but
Okay.
and next weekend I'm racing, and the weekend after. So
Oh, okay. And is it all over Thailand or just in the local area?
yeah, just all over Thailand. Yeah.
Okay, so you travel quite a lot.
Yes, yeah.
A speed freak.
Oh, the Flying Doctor. I used to get
Flying
that in
Doctor.
Australia.
Was it the Mark 1 or Mark 2 that Roger Clark had?
Yeah, both.
He had both, didn't he?
Yeah, both.
I met him in Northampton. Nice guy.
Very good
Well
day.
done. Keep it up. Go as far as you can for as long as you can.
This is one thing I say to people as they get older. Don't voluntarily stop doing anything that you like. In fact, do it more. You're
Right.
retired. You've got more time. Go and do it. Go and do it.
Yeah. Retired. What is retired?
Yeah.
It's great.
We're nearly out of time, but if you could just remind everybody, if they want to get in touch with you, what is the best way to do so? Does Bangkok Hospital Pattaya have a website?
Yes, it has a website. It also has emails, but the magic number is 1719.
Well, that's a nice, easy one to remember.
So that's the magic number, 1719, and the girls will put you through to me if I'm around. If not, they'll take the message.
All roads lead from there.
Iain, Dr. Iain, thank you very much for coming to visit us. It's been very educational, informative, and stay tuned for part 2.
Thanks, Ian.